Barbara, I'm a compulsive overeater and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet. I do that without exception. And my abstinence is the most important thing in my life. And I am so grateful to be on this meeting and to be one of you. And I know some of you, I don't know others. Some of you have heard me recently, but I promise I have so many years of compulsive overeating. I have no problem coming up with stories to tell everyone why I qualify to be in this meeting. Um, I kind of wanted to just start off by saying like it's 11 here, like what my morning has been so far here in Boston. It's ridiculously hot, and I know it's true, every one of us has been touched with it in some way, even the European community, and with global warming and everything. And if I were eating compulsively and I heard that it was getting hotter and hotter and hotter on this planet, I don't think there'd be enough baby powder or safety pins or like moo dresses like to get me through into my like adulthood. I used to just dread the summer. I hated the humidity and it put a pall over everything. Not that I needed that, because I kind of walked around like just so negative, so depressed. All I thought about was how can I lose weight? That was it. If I wasn't trying to get food, I was like thinking about, well, I'm going to start tomorrow. And what was my diet going to be? And this morning I woke up, I still love food and I love my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I make a beeline for that kitchen. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm neutral around food, because I'm not. And it's one of the things I absolutely love about this program, that I can eat the biggest and the best. And it's up to my sponsor how I can maintain my weight. And that's I love that I can celebrate food. And with the gray sheet and the confines of that little piece of paper, like those people who wrote it back when they wrote it in the 70s, it's a miracle. So I wake up, I have my breakfast. It's committed from the night before, just to be clear, and written down so I don't forget. And then I do a little life. It doesn't matter what that is, just like a little bit of life. And I'm not thinking about food. And I went out to get the paper after my breakfast, because we still get it delivered like it's like the 17th century. And I there were flowers. Like I wasn't like brought up like a flower person. And so I have great respect for people who love to garden and everything. I love the food that it creates, but but anyway, I have lilies in a little like area that I walk by, which I didn't even notice. And I know people who are on this meeting might be like, did I sign into like Gardener's Club? Like, I thought this was about like eating compulsively. And it is, because I did not notice one thing beyond what was in the refrigerator and how big I was. Or what I did notice, truthfully, and I still struggle with this, is every time I walk by a mirror, a window, I was looking at myself and like so focused on that I used to see like overweight people. I'm also very small. I'm 4'10". So now I just think like, am I that small? Am I that small? But back then it was, am I that heavy? Do my thighs look that big? It was like complete obsession around food and body image. And I don't know which came first, I don't, and it doesn't matter. And it also doesn't matter that I grew up in an effed up home. I don't want to curse, but there's no better word than that. So I'm just going to say F. And I used to go to therapy. Like my husband teases me. He's like, you used to go to therapy as an after school activity because I just thought once I figure out my relationship with my mother, I'm going to unlock the key and I'm going to stop eating. I'm going to stop binging on sugars, grains, and carbohydrates. And I'm going to ride off into the sunset. And I'm going to be thin and normal and happy and whatever every other fairy tale ended. I could tell you every rom-com in the 70s and 80s because I just lived in fantasy while I was eating, just to be clear. So I noticed that there were flowers. And then my daughter is here. I'm in Cape Cod, which is sort of a little vacation place for the summer. And my daughter is visiting, and we went and played pickleball, which is a very crazy. I'm sure you've heard of it. Like it's such a craze. But the point is, it's exercise. It's like moving my body, and I never did that before. I just wanted to lose the weight. And, I was not a compulsive exerciser. I was the opposite of that. My disease came out in, the books that I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention. I tried every diet. I love this one. Sometimes people whip out all of their scales and their cups, and I love the show and tell. But this person evidently still had a collection of all her food self-help books that she's like pulled out. And all of us, there were however many, it doesn't matter. We're like, oh my God, I had that one. I had that one. And, I went from being in this disease one day and thinking I was the only one in the universe who did what I did around food to now being in these virtual rooms and we don't have live meetings in Boston again yet, but one day, and feeling like I had found my family and the people who get me. And, I can say stuff like, yeah, you guys know it. For those of you who've been out for dinner, you're in a tight seat. You're, trying to get your friend or your spouse or anybody who knows what you do, like jockey to get them sitting next to you. Without fail, putting stuff on my plate from my bag. People are looking. I get very upset when my husband asks for a water refill and I'm in the middle of weighing. It's like I'm like, could you just wait till I'm finished? Whereas he's like, nobody cares. And I'm like, I care if they're coming back to the table as I'm weighing him. But I mean, these little things like you guys get. And then, of course, like ripping a shred of green vegetable in a restaurant, like to get to your whatever your amount is. And someone like, you have to measure that? Like, you really have to, just like, and I'm like, I'm not alone. Because whatever the particular thing, and some of you may not have been through this, I've gone under like tables to get a little red vegetable that is rolled under. That's mine. That is mine. I am one of those people. I know some people are like, it's been on the floor, I'll turn it over to somebody. I'm like, I'm not turning anything over. That is mine. And I'll wipe it or whatever. So, and I've been, knock wood, pretty healthy. I've not gotten any diseases from eating my food off the floor. But anyway, this is, I don't want to turn anyone away from this program. So this is not about eating off the floor. This is about safety around my food. And this program has truly turned my life around. Um, I had terrible withdrawal. I had terrible relapse. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's great. I love that. Okay, thanks. I believe you. So 5 more minutes. And I had a huge relapse. Like it wasn't just like I picked up or I ate an extra something. I took a 15-year bite. I was abstinent from 84 to 90. I literally moved up to Boston because that was the gray sheet community back then. And I felt like, I don't know, should I go to Hilton Head or North Carolina? Like there were all these places for food addiction. But I had a friend who was doing this, and as crazy as I thought she was, I mean, totally cuckoo. And I talked about her a lot about how insane this was. I came up to the Cambridge meeting and I was blown away. And I literally moved from Philadelphia in 1984 up to Cambridge to just have a detox. And I got abstinent and I decided to move because I wanted to be where the meetings were. And I was abstinent for 6 years. And I'm just going to spend the last 4 minutes talking about like the relapse and then where I am now. It didn't happen overnight. I did not wake up in 1990 and just pick up. It was a gradual process. I went from a recovery job. I was answering phones, which I pretty much needed just to be vertical. I literally could not do anything else. And then slowly I got some other jobs. And by the 1990, I was like in sort of a very busy profession with very little boundaries around what your time was or how much time you spent there. And I was starting not to go to as many meetings, and things would happen with my food. If I spilled something, I'm fine. I know it was a mistake. I'm fine. And I will not let anything go now. And because I know where it leads me. So I was out for 15 years. I came back I came crawling back to the Saturday morning meeting in 2005. And God, I just thank God I have been weighing and measuring ever since. And do I wish to regret the past? I mean, do I regret the past and wish to close the door on it? You bet. I feel some shame sometimes, but you know what? That is the disease. Because if I don't wish relapse on anyone, but if I can be a poster child, I'm not the only one, for people who have gradually slipped away. It is awful out there. And I never want to go back out eating again because my life will be this big. And now I actually, to come full circle, notice flowers and smells. I just feel, I sometimes get chills, and I don't have air conditioning. I'm in the basement. So that's kind of amazing what this program has done. So today, I love the timing of this meeting. I also eat my meals 1 minute early, and I love, love, love them. And I will be eating. It's all ready. I'll be making a beeline as soon as we hang up. And it's not a moral issue. I used to think like, why can't I wait or pretend that I'm chill around my meals? I'm just not that compulsive overeater. And then I'm going to do some light between lunch and dinner. And that's a miracle today. So thank you, Kim, for inviting me to this meeting. And I'm grateful to see everybody I know and don't know, because I feel like your family. And I will just wrap it up and hear everybody else's experience, strength, and hope. So thank you.